And with that, we check into the third member of our broadcast team on the sidelines, Gwen Begley.
Thank you, Dave and Matt. Now, this is a game that Steel FC certainly has had circled on their calendar since April 10th, that 4-0 loss against New York Red Bulls 2 over in Harrison, New Jersey. Now, if we look back on that game, a game we'd like to forget, but obviously we have to remember, some of those guys were very young at that point. Josh Yarrow, that was only his third pro start. He's had 4 MLS appearances now. Austin Trusty, he was still very young at that moment. So we've had a lot of guys that have had their first starts and appearances since that. One of the best examples of that is Samir Bader. I spoke with him on Thursday. He said he's excited that the Bethlehem Steel FC's core group is finally getting together. They were finally first together last week in their game against Rochester. So I also spoke with Jay Cooney, the goalkeeping coach, on Thursday, and he said to expect a better effort from this team. They're better equipped to handle the pressure that New York Red Bulls 2 is able to put out. Thanks, guys. Back to you in the booth. Thank you, guys. First win at home. How does it feel? How do you think your guys played today?
Great. That's what it should be. Everything we saw today, the energy level, the concentration level, if we can set that as a bare minimum, then we'll be in really good shape for the rest of the year. That was a very young team we put out today, and they grew up today, in my eyes.
Now, I know you said earlier in the week, this is such a strong veteran team that you were facing, and it was such a good learning opportunity for the guys. What do you think they could take out of this? As Hilliard prepares to embark on his journey into the NBA with the Detroit Pistons this week, returning to the Lehigh Valley and giving back to the community that shaped his career is something that he considers an honor and something he hopes to continue for many years to come. As young hockey players, both Decker and Knight attended camps hosted by their idols. Now, as the tables have turned, they hope their influence can inspire future stars and the growth of women's ice hockey. Last week in their tough loss against Bridgewater, the Stateliners stressed the importance of making big defensive plays. They succeeded tonight with a defensive touchdown and, more importantly, shutting down the Warriors' offense, making for quite the crowd pleaser in their first home game of the season here at Maloney Stadium. While Peterborough lost their QB Anthony Guarino and 1,600-yard rusher Joe Maso to graduation, the Stateliners have some returners who saw plenty of experience in 2014. So as their rushing attack takes form here throughout the preseason and through the first couple of scrimmages, they hope their depth will again be a factor in their success. The Harrisburg City Islanders break their 3-game losing streak. Unfortunately, though, that means Bethlehem Steel FC breaks their 5-game unbeaten streak, dropping 3 on the road, their second loss away from home, their first coming from the New York Red Bulls 2. And of course, this game now joins that category as one of their worst losses of the season. So now they hope they can respond the same way they did after that game. It was a special night in Reading this weekend as some of the Philadelphia Flyers' greatest players brushed the dust off their skates and hit the ice once again.
Well, that was the first time I put my gear on since last June, winning the Stanley Cup. So it was awesome. Actually, 2 months ago when I was asked to show up here and play one of these alumni games, I was like, okay, I can probably do it. But now when I played it and seeing these guys in the room and hearing these hockey talk and seeing all the fans out there, it was special. And I'm really happy that I did it.
Well, it's just nice to get out on the ice with those guys. I'm just fortunate that they invited me here. You know, you got wide variety of ages out there, and I think everybody's having fun, and that's what it's all about.
From Broad Street bullies and Stanley Cup champions to the team's most recent alumni, players from every decade of Flyers hockey couldn't help but go down memory lane in front of a sold-out crowd at Santander Arena.
You know, I've heard about the Reading Royals, but I didn't know coming here what the response was going to be from the fans towards the Flyers. So to jump on the ice for warm-up, to see the whole building packed already, that was I had chills. You know, it felt like another regular NHL games going back on the ice. It was very cool and amazing from the fans to show up in such a big number.
I didn't know what to expect. You know, I'd never been here, but once I get in and I was walking around the rink, and it's a beautiful rink. I really liked it. And then taking a warm-up, seeing it's going to be a full house, I was like, wow. Only Philly and surroundings of Philly can do it, because it's special. It shows how much Flyers fans and they appreciate hockey and they're die-hard fans. So it was great.
Split into Team Orange, and Team White Danny Briere took the spotlight, scoring 2 goals to lift the Orange team to a 9-4 victory. A surreal moment for Briere, sharing the ice with Hall of Famers like Bob Clark and Bernie Perron.
It was a lot of fun, you know, and you got to remember that you're playing for fun, and we had so many different generations, so it was so cool to have those guys from the 70s dress up and come out and play. I had a big thrill seeing guys like Bobby Clark and Bob Kelly and Joe Watson being on the ice. I mean, is a special moment. Spending time with them too off the ice, you know, it was really special night.
Not only was this a chance for Flyers fans to come out and see their favorite players from over 5 decades of Flyers hockey, it also gave the organization a chance to celebrate their affiliation with not only the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, but the Reading Royals as well.
You know, hockey in this area is really good. The fans are really into it. Whether it's the Flyers, you know, I live in Hershey, so I kind of liked it when the Royals were affiliated with the Bears. Now they're with the Phantoms. I think it's good that the Flyers put on events like this in the area to get the fans to know, you know, the current players, the prospects, and also the former players.
It's a pleasure coming here. I think Reading is a special place, and I think their fans are very special. And I think it's important for everyone to know that this area here is really great for the game of hockey. And we, as an alumni group, we're very proud to come in here and play on a sold-out building. They're great fans, and I think some of the alumni guys didn't quite realize how great of fans they really were than coming here.
Well, like you mentioned, especially because there's so many Flyers fans in this area, to have a team affiliated with the same team, I think it's important, and it's probably going to be even more special for the fans. You might at some point see some players moving up to Allentown and eventually to the Flyers, so you have the chance to see some players that down the road might be playing for your favorite NHL team. So I was really taken aback by how supportive they were, and hopefully we do that again next year.
In Reading, Gwen Begley, 2 Sports. The New Britain Rockcats are making their final visit to Reading before moving their franchise to Hartford. Having already sealed the deal with an 8-2 victory the night prior, the Fightins look to avoid being swept as they were underway in Baseball Town. Joely Rodriguez, 5-2, got the start for the Phils, going through 1 before the Rockcats came out in the top of the 2nd inning with 2 outs. Rodriguez walks Will Swanner and Joey Wong, then gives up a 2-run single to Matt Flemmer as they take the 2-0 lead. Bottom of the 2nd, Brody Green hits a 2-out RBI double off Flemmer, scoring Harold Martinez and cutting the Rockcats' lead in half 2-1. Rodriguez runs into some more trouble in the top of the 5th. Mike Talkman hits an RBI single, lifting New Britain to a 3-1 lead. Then Jordan Patterson nails a 3-run home run, his 15th of the season, as the Rockcats get comfortable with a 6-1 advantage. Rodriguez gets John Vasquez to ground out before leaving the game with 2 outs in the inning. Rainier Roybal will step in and strike out Swanner to end the 5th. But the hits just keep coming for the Rockcats here in the top of the 6th inning. A miscalculated toss to first costs the Phils an error and a run as Joey Wong scores. New Britain takes a 7-1 lead. The Fightin' Phils find some fight in the bottom of this 6th. Andrew Knapp homers off Flemmer with 1 out. Then Brock Stassi scores on a bases-loaded walk by Brody Green as the Fightins cut the Rockcats' lead 7-3. Destin Hood puts the Phils even closer, hitting a 2-out, 2-run double off Craig Sitton. But the Fightin' Phils fall to New Britain with a final score of 7-5.
I mean, we just weren't clicking today. I mean, obviously we had more hits than them, just weren't clicking at the same time. I mean, the pitching was doing the best they can to stay in the game. It just didn't work out.
I don't know. We put ourselves in a hole early, and it was tough to come back. You know, we made a couple late pushes there and made a game of it at the end, but just weren't able to get back into it.
The Fightin' Phils suffered their first series loss since July 23rd through the 26th at New Britain. Their last series loss at home was in the beginning of July versus Trenton. Now, while they are on a 3-game losing streak, they still are at the top of the standings with 15 games left.
I mean, keep betting ourselves. I mean, obviously, you know, sometimes you lose games and sometimes you lose in a row like that. But, hey, I mean, obviously we got the talent to go in and play games like we did for the past week, you know, go off on 7 in a row. So.
Just going about our business every day, having a better attitude about it coming to the park. You know, defensively we didn't play well today, so I think we got to really focus in on that the next couple of days, and the game will take care of itself then. I just got to let this one go. 15 games left, control our own destiny. So tomorrow's a new day, and we'll approach it that way.
The Fightin' Phils begin their road series with the Altoona Curve tonight and will return to First Energy Stadium on Thursday for a bout against the Bay Sox. On the scene, I'm Gwen Begley for 2 Sports. So it was operating for 120 years, and it just closed down in 1995, November 18th. So the city didn't. Yeah. Bethlehem Steel FC went back to school to learn some history about the city they now call home.
Is it correct that a lot of these workers were immigrant workers who came over to work for the steel?
Boluak and Gode, James Chambers, Josh Hurd, and Samir Bader got a taste of downtown Bethlehem's biggest attraction. All of the men in the community pretty much worked at the steel mill, or they were overseas at war. Formed in 1904, the Bethlehem Steel Corporation served as the economic lifeline of the community, producing the steel that built our nation's most impressive structures. So the steel from the Golden Gate Bridge was actually made here. And if you see the orange color over there, they use the same color, so that's the same color as the Golden Gate Bridge as well. Another cool place that has the steel from here is Chrysler Building in New York. Do you recognize that place? Another one would be Madison Square Garden. A lot of that was built there. So they would make probably 2,600 to 3,000 tons of iron per day. So yeah, there's a lot of history in Bethlehem, and obviously the entire history of your team is based.
We are here because of this thing right here,
exactly.
Right?
Was soccer the only sport played here by the steelworkers?
No, the steelworkers, they had a baseball team as well. So they played baseball, played soccer, they played a bunch of sports to kind of pass the time when they weren't here, which pretty much their entire life they were here. After 120 years in operation, Bethlehem Steel saw its last day. And rather than demolish the historic mill, the community rallied together to bring it new life. They could have just tore it down, but instead Arts West came in and made it into kind of this music and arts center for Bethlehem. So they hold World Cup watch parties, there's a movie theater inside, so they really turned it into more of a tourist attraction other than let it sit here and rot. I mean, obviously it's rusting, but,
Yeah, but it looks cool.
It's still cool. It's
Yeah.
still in good
Cool.
condition.
Came to watch the men's World Cup, U.S.-Germany, and then I watched the women's final here. Actually, it was awesome. But I didn't get to learn as much about the history as I am today.
They also learned the history of their own team, more specifically their logo, centered around Henry Gray's Bethlehem beam, which revolutionized the age of skyscrapers and accounted for the mill's success.
Strong like James right here, right?
Strong like Bethlehem Steel, which is why they put it in their logo.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It all comes full circle.
It does.
Cool. It does.
That's really cool.
This is awesome.
Yeah, so what did you guys think so far?
It's awesome. I mean, the first time I came here, I didn't really get to learn about the history and stuff. Didn't think I would end up playing for Bethlehem Steel, but it's been nice to learn about the history. Now it means a little bit more every time you step out on the pitch.
It's much more meaningful to see the history behind it.
Yeah, for sure.
To be honest, I didn't know that much about why we were called Steel, so it's kind of good to know.
Yeah, similar. It's nice to come down and get kind of a real insight into what it means.
Now, this is only obviously one of the many places that you guys can visit in Bethlehem. I know this is one of your very first times away from Goodman Stadium. So how nice was it to kind of get outside of Goodman Stadium and see Bethlehem a little bit more?
It was awesome, obviously, to know the area. Obviously, most of the fans live in this area, so it's kind of cool to drive around and look at different things and ask people that know the area, so it's cool.